everybody to the Women's Health Line, where we have our podcast called Measured, and we talk about women's health issues. Now, today I want to talk about something very close to everybody's heart, and it really spans out to many, many elements of our lives, right? Whether it's exercise, fat loss, and etc. And that very important topic is about protein. Now, increasingly we hear a lot about this very special thing, protein, in our diets, in our bodies. And we have Dr. Lee here with us today, Dr. Jolinda Lee. And we're going to talk about several things. But first of all, I want to talk about protein and ask you, what is the role of protein in our body, in the general scheme of things?
Yeah, so protein is one of the macronutrients in addition to carbohydrates and fat. And we basically need protein because it makes up all of our tissues. So from our skin to the hair on our heads, but more importantly, like our muscles, bones, our enzymes, our cells, they all require
Hold up. Bones require protein too?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
All of our connective tissues are actually made up of proteins. I like to think of, amino acids that make up proteins like Legos. So I tell my patients that, essentially we have an array of like 20 different types of amino acids for this special array. And just like there's special shapes in Legos, there are the wheels that form the pulleys.
Right.
There are what we call like 9 essential amino acids. That means our bodies don't actually make them.
Okay.
And we need to have this from our diet.
So when you say essential amino acids, these are not made by our body.
Yes.
How about non-essential?
So non-essential amino acids can be made in the body.
Right.
So of the 20 amino acids, 9 are considered essential amino acids, and of these 9, 3 are what we call branched chain amino acids, which serve even more specialized functions and are very important towards our ability to live long, and in particular to maintain muscles.
Okay, so what are these 3 branch
So they
chains?
are leucine, isoleucine, and valine. But importantly, we're going to be paying attention to leucine, especially coming up in our subsequent podcasts.
Okay, now I'm going to ask this question, which everybody loves to ask. From bodybuilders to svelte, sylph-like ladies. How much protein should I consume in a day? And of course, with the caveat, everybody needs the varying amounts of protein, right? And we'll cover that later as well. But just right off the bat, how much protein should we consume?
I think, if we're looking at recommended daily intakes, the recommended daily intake really is 0.8 grams per kilogram body weight per day, meaning that the heavier you are, the more proteins you need, the lighter you are, the less proteins you need. But don't forget, these recommendations were made probably just after the Second World War.
Wow.
So, we need to kind of take into considerations how our understanding of the human body, its metabolism has changed, and, the role of how research plays into our understanding of how much proteins we require.
Okay, well, when you say, let's do a simple calculation, right? 0.8 grams per kilogram, sorry. Now, what if I weigh 100 kilograms?
Yeah. So
But I don't want to be 100 kilograms anymore. So what should I use? Do I do 0.8 times 100 kilograms? Like I'm overweight at 100 kilograms.
Yeah. So I think obviously, when we're talking about proteins, there is a calorie value attached to it. And typically proteins don't come alone in foods. Mostly, if we're looking at animal sources, protein comes with fat. Less so for plants. There is less fat associated with that. So if we're having more of our proteins from animal sources, we're going to be also consuming more calories from fat. unless we're picking very, wise choices for proteins that are very lean.
Okay.
Okay. So I think, the question about 100 kilograms and how much protein you should, endeavor to have is quite a loaded one, because I think the answer is probably that we don't know. So some people believe that if you're trying to, lose weight, you should target, where your end goal is. Meaning if your end goal is 80 kilograms, then you should be taking that amount of protein.
Right.
But of course, there is also evidence to suggest that if you are older, having a higher proportion of your calories from protein may actually enable you to not only lose that weight, but proportionately lose more fat and maintain more lean muscle mass, which is kind of like the eventual goal. Because we do see that as people get lighter and lighter, you find that, whatever they're eating doesn't help to lose weight anymore. Because what they have done is they've changed their basal metabolic rate. They've lost muscle, which essentially is what burns off, a lot more calories. So they essentially need to drop calories to then, continue to lose weight. So we don't want to get to a point where we're essentially losing more and more muscle. So the aim of the game really is to lose fat and either maintain or gain muscle, depending on whether or not you have enough.
Okay, so let me just do a very simple calculation. Let's try and do this calculation so that everybody gets the general idea, right? So let's say I am a 100 kilogram person. Let's just not be gendered about this.
Yes.
100 kilograms, and that is my weight that I want to maintain. So that would be 100 kilograms times 0.8. That's right.
So that would be like 80 grams of protein.
And the caveat is, it's not 80 grams of chicken.
Yes.
So can you explain a little bit?
Typically, when we are talking about, say, 80 grams of protein, we're not actually looking at like 80 grams of chicken meat or 80 grams of pork, because if you look at, meat, like we said, there is, the fat, there is the water. So we're going to see that, I think on an average for like animal protein, we're going to see maybe 4 grams of protein, 3 to 4 grams of, that meat protein that's uncooked will give you 1 gram of protein.
Okay.
Okay. Whereas for things like fish, it might be like 5 grams. That will give you 1 gram of protein, especially if we're looking at more fatty fish like sardines. And if we are looking at things like plant proteins like tofu, it can be even as little as, 100 grams of, tofu giving you only 8 grams of protein.
So is it easier to then just do a percentage calculation of total weight? Say 20% of a plant protein will is protein.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
So
on 30 grams,
yes,
30%.
You would say probably 30% of the meat that you're going to consume is going to be protein, and then only about 20% of, say, a plant protein is going to be protein.
Okay.
Yeah.